and today we got to play a name I'm not going to try to read because I do not read whatever language this is.
Depending on when you pick this up, it was originally called Townsfolk Wanted, but it's got a new name, Explorers of Navoria, and it's supposed to come to a crowdfunding here, and Q4 of 2023 is what they were targeting, but given the fact that it's now December, I'm expecting it's probably going to be Q1 of 2024, but it should be coming soon.
Right, so this was sent to us to review it and for the crowdfunding. So with that little caveat, can you tell us a little bit? So honestly, we got this game and all we saw was this box and we were like, how are we going to play this?
Because the original rules that I saw were all written in the same language, whether it be Chinese or Japanese. I can't tell you because I don't read either one.
Anyway.
Yeah, it could be any form of Asian language from that part of the world. I can't read this. So there was a printed copy in English rules that was printed, but it was buried under everything else. So I didn't see this at first. All I saw was the box, and I saw this. So I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. Before we get further into it, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down there so you can follow along.
Because we're awesome.
All of our hijinks.
You know, we like board games. You do too.
Yeah. And in my fantasy football league, I got myself a present for Christmas. I've got my team name printed, and they're on to know nothings because when I started fantasy football, I knew nothing about football. So,
well, that still remains to be seen. All right, let's talk about quality of components. So you have screen printed wooden meeples, the little birdie. Birdies are kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's like an air balloon.
It looks like the artwork from Root. But it's, it's definitely has that look to it, but it's more
cutesy than Root.
Everything's screen printed. All the wood bits are screen printed.
Yeah, so I don't know if this will be the case in the crowdfunding.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the final version or not.
I hope so.
Well, the only thing I hope is they do something with these cardboard resources, make them wooden. But
well, you don't use them a lot, so it's not like horrible. But hopefully, if it does well enough, maybe they'll upgrade it in the campaign.
The cardstock's got linen finish. It's really
nice. Have
nice.
Linen finish. It's actually a pretty good thickness, and you don't shuffle these except at the beginning of the game, so that's not bad. Overall, the only thing that would have been helpful is maybe some
inlaid. Yeah, because these castles get bumped easily.
Yeah, I mean, but it's not horrible. There's not very many of them. And
each player has different shapes. So you got like a mushroom shape. I've got castle shape. Every color has a different...
My houses are cooler than your houses. So overall quality of components, I'm probably going to get the 7 because the screen printing and the card quality is so nice.
I'm going way higher than that. I'm giving it 8.5. I think they've done an outstanding job. Everything being screen printed. The only thing that's a detractor to me is in bits, or I would have given it a 9 and 9.5.
I can care more about the inlaid boards.
Well, the inlaid boards too, but the bag has a printing on the outside for your draw bag. All the tokens inside are screen printed. All the cardboard is linen finished. All the cards are linen finished. It's really nice.
Yeah. So let's then move on to the theme. So the theme is that you are traveling across the map.
I'm assuming you're exploring, considering it's
well, see, here's the thing, though. So here's the actual city that we end up taking actions in the second phase of the round. But this is where you're kind of exploring. The theme's maybe not quite clear in the aspect. I mean...
But the art is so beautifully cute. It's
very
cartoonish.
Yeah. I love the color palette. I think the art's very cute. So I don't know what the theme is,
and all the cards are distinct too. All the cards have distinct art, and it's really cartoonish and cute as well. And it's indicative based on the different regions of the board what you would be doing.
I like that piece of it. I'll probably give it a 7.5 too because it's cool. I like the art.
Again, I'm going to go higher again. I'm going to give it an 8.5 again. I think the theme of it is really adorable.
I don't know what the theme is.
I don't understand. Yeah, I mean, but you are traveling. It makes sense from an exploration standpoint,
right?
And the military cards all have soldiers and military people on them. Your resources,
the artwork
cards are all like food and different things you would accumulate. I mean, they all make sense with the different cards, but it's simply a drafting card game and a little bit of track movement. But it's a very simple game.
All right, so All right, so then let's move on to the actual rule book. How was the English version of the rule book?
The rule book, it was actually translated pretty well. It's a 16-page book. I assume that's what it was. Yeah, the original 16 as well. The carries the art through. It does have nice pictures of the components. The font is a little weird, but again, this has got a paper copy, so I don't know if they're going to print it nicer. And I can't really compare it to what's in here because I can't tell if it's the same font. They have the 2-player, how you set up differently. You have the different phases of the game, the recruitment phase, which is where you're drafting the tokens to pick cards. And basically you're doing a tableau build with your cards during the game. And then you're accumulating resources, if you will, at the second half of the game. They have goes into breakdowns of what all the cards do, and then you have the return. Well, the return phase would be the second phase, and then you have income and maintenance. It's broken out very easy to understand. The only problem we had with the rules is there's 15 tokens in the game, represented by the 15 cards that are available to draft out here, and you draft 2 tokens at a time. So whenever you get to the final token, there's going to be 1 left over potentially. You could have more because you can select ones that have been drafted already. But if you get down to that 1 token, there was nothing in the rules to say, could you draw it? Because it says draw 2, but there's only 1 in the bag. So,
well, I'm fine with it not being drawn.
Well, we house ruled it, but you shouldn't have to house rule something when you're reading the rules.
Well, I mean, so you have to be able to draw 2. There's not 2 in there.
So hopefully they'll clarify that in the future before they release this on, actually produce it. Because it would be nice to know, can you draw out of the bag? I'm fine with the way we played it. It just would be nice to know. I'd like to know exactly what I'm getting into when I'm playing the game from the rule book. And so given that, I'll probably go ahead and give the rule book an 8, because I've seen a lot worse when you're dealing with a translation from a different language over. And it's laid out nice. It was easy to pick this game up from it. It's just that one thing that we couldn't find a clarification for.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's move on to actual gameplay. So the gameplay is, if I was the starting person, I'm going to draw 2. You don't have to draw 2, but we'll talk about with the second player. But because there's no other options, I'm going to draw 2. I have 2 tokens. Now, one of these I'm going to place in the center of the village. And one I'm actually going to place on the column of cards. If I put it on the deck of cards, I will be taking a card from that deck. So I am actually going to take the yellow action and put that here. And I think I would like some forest. So, or some desert, because deserts are fun. So I'm going to do the action on the card.
There's different icons on it. And this one has a movement action and a place a building action.
Right. Yes. And I'm going to place it there. Now, then the other one's going to go there. Now, Randy, he has a choice. Yeah. He can either take the tile in the middle, which there will start becoming a collection. So there's a couple of options. Or he can take another 2 from the bag. What do you want to do, Randy?
You know what? I think I do want that blue one. So I'll take the blue. And now these cards, blue is typically income cards. So they give you income of victory points. Everything is victory points during scoring income. So some of them will give you immediate income on victory points. And given that there's a lot of these masks, I'm going to go ahead and take the one here that gives me 2 victory points. And I get a victory point during income for every mask icon I have. And it has a mask icon on it. So I'm going to reach up here, move my victory point marker 2 spaces for the 2 that are immediate. And you're accumulating these, and every round you're going to actually get to score every card you have. So there's some that are in-game, but apart from that, you're going to get to score the cards.
Yeah. So the other columns is the purple are about actually exploring, about moving your meeple throughout the different lands as you explore. Blue, he said, mentioned was income of victory points. Red is end of game victory points. But the victory points aren't worth it, but the icons possibly are.
Yeah, because they have double icons of all the other cards.
And if you get 5 icons of a particular color, you can place your ribbon marker on this, which will allow to give you victory points of certain colors at the end of the game. which was super useful. I'm pretty sure that's why I won last time.
But it was still close, even with you
yes.
having 2 of them versus us having 1.
So kind of keeping that in your viewpoint. Then the green obviously is about actually getting resources. And with those resources, you can then trigger the villages in those areas.
Yeah, they're contracts.
Yeah, they're contracts. And as you put down houses as you explore, each contract is worth significantly more. I really liked this game.
Well, you just described the first half of it. So after you've drafted your cards, which you're going to draft 4 per round, you're then going to have the return home phase, where all these tokens that are on the decks of cards that you've accumulated, you get to choose one in reverse turn order and place it onto the matching region at the top of whichever, because the perks are at the best at the top. And you get whatever you place it on. Some of them are resources, some of them have a crystal on them that, if you're not careful, you got to be careful because there's a question mark in the middle.
Well, the thing is, there's a crystal, an apple, and a sword with a question mark on top of the icon.
When you're sitting far away from those icons, like I was, and the lighting is hitting it right,
it looks like a weird plant. To be honest with you,
it looks like a crystal from the same as the icon.
It looks like one of those Mario plants because the apple's on top, so you've got that round head with the. Anyway, it looks like it's...
So your lighting may vary, but for me, I couldn't tell the difference with my bad eyes between the crystal and that from a distance. So I ended up making some dumb plays because I needed resources, and I had to take a crystal, I thought, which I didn't. But some will let you place buildings down or move down tracks. And at the end of each round, you're not only going to score your income cards, but you're also going to score how far you are along the tracks. And if you max out and you get more movement, each track has a bounce that you can get victory points from. So,
which lets you speed up quite a bit.
I jumped up because I maxed out the highest victory point count once and bounced several times on it.
I know.
So you almost want to focus on just like one strategy, because all of the scoring, I mean, we were all within 4 points of each other at the end of the game.
So the one thing I really liked about this game is you can totally focus on getting resources and trigger these buildings, like trying to get the buildings off and then just keep triggering these suckers, which super helpful for me. And I didn't even have all of them open because Mr. Hogg over there took all the...
Early in the game, I developed only one of mine, though. It was just the purple one.
Still very annoying. Anyway, or you can focus on doing the end of game victory points, which Andrew, I think, was very successful at. I think I did a little bit of hodgepodge. I started one area, but then I ended up with another, making sure I got 2 of those icons, though, of the icon bonuses, which was super helpful. And then what did you kind of focus on?
I focused on the income, and I focused on the trade of this particular contract. The problem is when you take out the resources, you can't put them all on one thing. You have to spread them across. So I found it very difficult to trigger that one because I had to spread everything out. But what I did was I ignored the walking up the tracks on the first turn, and that cost me a lot of victory points early in the game. But I made up for it by having massive income of victory points from those blue cards later.
So I think there's a couple of strategies going into this, which I really do appreciate. I think that's very well done.
One thing we didn't mention, when you place the buildings, that becomes your new starting point when you walk down the track. So
because it does reset.
Because it resets at the end of every round, so you don't have to go back all the way to the beginning. So that's what I got 3 buildings on this track early on, and then I was able to march from there to the end very easily and got a lot of points. So I think, that just coincidentally, that was the one that's because I was working on developing that track out over here. So
I don't think it's a bad gig to do that kind of focus of the traveling victory points. So that's the 3 different strategies. You got your income at the end of the round, you've got your traveling and your bumping, and then you've got your green cards, your green triggering your resources here. And you can kind of do like one you want to focus and then one is a side hustle. Like, that way you're kind of focusing on 2, which I think is super beneficial. Overall, I actually really enjoyed this game. I think it's fairly straightforward. It's easy to get to the table. But there's still a little bit of strategy to it because I like the choosing the different cards and really thinking about how your strategy works. You don't know what you're kind of picking out. If anything, I'm kind of sad that there's kind of some luck into it, but I'm okay with it because it's not horrible. So overall, I actually really enjoyed this. I'm going to give this thing an 8. I liked it.
Yeah, I'm probably right there with you with an 8. I mean, it's a very simple game to learn. I like the fact that it's so easy. It doesn't take any time hardly at all to set this game up or put it away. And, it's just the right length, I think. It's got enough strategy to make it feel meaty enough, but for an entry-level game, I'd say this is probably one step above entry, but it's not very complex at all.
I don't know. The iconography is pretty... If you have trouble reading iconography...
Yeah, there's not that much of it. It's the same icons, pretty much. Now, the one thing that I did find confusing with the iconography, and I had to be careful about, is the colors of the cards look like they correspond with the different regions,
No.
But they don't. You got to look at the icon to make sure you're placing your building or moving up the track, because the yellow cards will have all 3 of the areas of exploration on them.
Yeah, as will the purple and things like that. So icons are very important. So if you've got people that have a hard time with iconography, you may want to hold off. Or, this might be a good introduction to that.
Yeah, because there's not that many icons, honestly.
Yeah. So just I would probably put this more under the light to medium. More on the light side, definitely. Yeah. I think, but I don't think this is an...
Well, I was going to say, it's not your first entry-level game. I think it's like as you develop, it's your second step on the, educating into the levels of games. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I gave it an 8. I liked it. So, I had fun. I had a lot of fun with this one. So, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.